Hi guys, this is Ed from the Game Jar, and today I'm with Bruce Grove from Onlive. And Bruce, I guess first things first, give us a bit of a breakdown on your job role at Onlive.
I'm Bruce Grove, General Manager for Onlive here in the UK. I head up all of the operations and business that we do over here.
Great. So, as we're all aware, the last 4 or 5 weeks have been, I guess, pretty tumultuous from a business point of view. I guess sum up the kind of roller coaster ride that you've had over the last 12 months, going from, I guess, quite a lot of highs to, I guess, some lows in the past few weeks.
Yeah, so Onlive had launched in the US, and then last year we launched here in the UK at this show. And over that time we were continuing to build the business, we were moving ahead, but we were also just sort of with many costs, many things behind us. We were the first to market, we were the first ones to bring this technology and show people that it truly could be done. So we've spent 5 years developing and proving to people what cloud gaming was, but also building everything that goes with that, the infrastructure, the hardware, the messaging, and also learning the business models. It's a whole new way of delivering content. And all of that was extremely difficult. And as a startup, you expect work to be difficult, you don't expect it to be easy. But we finally reached a point, and about 6 weeks ago, the company reached a point where we were hoping to take in some funding. We thought we had something lined up, and then at the last minute that didn't come through. And as a result, the company just had nowhere to go, and we reached a very, very difficult end. We went through a process called an ABC, which is something that's a little bit unique to California. It's something called an assignment for the benefit of creditors. What that allowed to do was it allowed somebody else to step in and acquire the business and acquire all of the assets and the IP. And that was somebody called Gary Lauder, who's been around the Silicon Valley and investing in media and streaming technology for a long time. Very, very experienced guy, understands the technology, the space, the potential for it, and saw this opportunity to keep this going. So one of the things that the ABC allowed us to do was not prevent the operation from just falling down. We kept the service running, we kept everything going, people were still able to get their games, and at no point did you see from the outside a stop in service. And that was very important. And then internally since then we've been going through the very difficult process of having to restructure the company. We've had to let a number of people go, but we've rehired a lot of people back into this new organization, and now what we're doing is really a focus on the future and going forward.
Great. Yeah, there was a lot of rumours flying by with the acquisition of Gakai, if that's how you pronounce it, from Sony, that there was a possibility of maybe a deal with Microsoft with Onlive. Was that ever a factor, or was that something that was in the pipeline that was, I guess, that you hoped would come to fruition, or not?
We were talking to a lot of people, and for obvious reasons we can't sort of disclose what a lot of those discussions were, but what really happened was we just never got a time to finish those, and we never got a time to close on any of those discussions. And a lot of it was about investing for the future, what the company was going to be going forward. Where we are now is a very different position. Where Gary Lauder stepped in, it's the company now is in a position to really, having streamlined and refocused, we don't have to worry about that side of the future anymore. We can sit and we can look and we can plan out and really focus on building a business. And that's a big shift for us as well. It's focusing on how we're going to take this and really make a very solid business that can stand alone and be viable going forward.
So with Gary Lauder coming in and Charlie, I cannot pronounce his surname.
Charlie Jablonski.
Yep. So those are the two guys who are heading up Onlive going forward.
So Gary Lauder is the chairman, and so he's stepped in, and Lauder Partners is the owner now. Charlie Jablonski was our VP of operations, so very experienced guy. He's also been around running operational products for a long time. And so he's now stepped up to be the CEO, and his job is really to sort of put a safe pair of arms around it, bring some focus to the company, and get us going forward.
So on that note, have Gary and Charlie brought a lot of new ideas to the table? I mean, in terms of what you can disclose today, is there a number of new features, ideas that you've got in the pipeline over the next 12 months?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you're going to see more from Onlive now is our plan going forward is really going to be about how we work with our partners and how we bring this product to customers. Historically, we had some partnerships, but we'd very much been driving it as Onlive, and it was all about Onlive. Now what we want to do is really focus on how do we work with partners in a way that it makes sense for all of us. And so rather than Onlive bearing the ownership and the brunt of everything, help leverage what the partners have. If a broadband provider knows who all of its users are and it knows who has the right cable speeds, then they already have more information than we have for marketing and how to get this product out to people that will be able to use it. So rather than us market to everyone, knowing that not everyone has the fastest broadband, we can get help with that. And so that's going to be a big emphasis, is moving forward as a service, making it like a Spotify or a Netflix, and you'll see more of us working with smart TVs, working on set-top boxes, working with carriers to deliver the service that through their products.
So with regards to, obviously a lot of the discussion was broadband speeds across the majority just weren't good enough to maximise the ability of the Onlive box. So on that note, do you think that maybe Onlive were slightly too early when bringing out obviously their set-top box with regards to internet speeds, or was it for different reasons that it hasn't been as successful as hoped?
I don't think it was to do with the broadband speeds, and I think I used an analogy earlier, which was when the first cars were built, there weren't really any roads, because why would you have had the roads if there weren't cars? So you're always going to have a chicken and egg with this kind of technology, and part of the problem with that is not that there aren't enough people to use it, it's making sure you have the right focus for the business and the offering and targeting the right people. So the same thing could have been said about streaming video 4 years ago. Things like Netflix, BBC iPlayer, they struggled when they first came out, but are now very viable services, and we see the same thing going forward with video games. So what's important for us is, again, it comes back to these partnerships. Let's partner and make sure that where we deliver Onlive, we're delivering to people that can take advantage of it straight away and make use of it. And let's make sure that the offering and the business models make sense within that as well. I think subscription packs are going to be a big part of this. The idea of less about the retail, am I buying the big sort of boom and bust on the day release, versus here's a channel of content that more people can now get access to.
Great. And so I guess on that route, I've noticed recently you've teamed up with is it Marvel or Marvel, with regards to bringing having Onlive access through Google TVs?
Yes, that's the Marvel. Yep, Marvel. Who did a particularly funny thing a couple of years ago where they had Stan Lee on their stand. So it was very confusing. So Marvel did, we worked with them on the chips. We've been released on Google TV through Vizio and their CoStar box, and we're going to go live on more Google TV boxes. And that's kind of a key reach. If somebody's buying a connected device like that and they connect it to the internet, we know they can stream video, so we know they can stream Onlive. And so that's those sorts of partnerships starting to come to fruition and really work with how we're going to move this forward. And then the idea that you don't need the console, but you also get this audience of people who are less necessarily wanting to worry about, do they have to go and choose a £40 game? Here's just a bundle of games that they're quite happy to dip in and out of.
Great. Yeah, I think the partnership key is good news for Onlive fans. And is there any plans to update the game user face or the titles of games? I think if you look on even the fact there was no official forums for Onlive fans, there was a number of unofficial forums.
Yep.
And I know that some fans would like the fact that there be an official place where they could go and air their views about what they like and don't like about Onlive. So are there any plans to have official forums?
We don't have a plan for official forums right now. There is a very big forum out there, Onlive Fans, and what we do is we engage with Onlive fans directly. And one of the things that we talked about this a long time ago, about whether we wanted to do forums and whether we wanted to become the curators of that. And one of the things we felt was that the the naturally grown ecosystem was doing a good enough job. Actually, I think they're doing a great job, that we didn't really need to try and duplicate that. And we'd rather engage with them where they can have open, free-flowing discussion and don't feel like they're being moderated, don't feel like they're being sort of handled by Onlive. But they do have very open discussions, and we go to them for feedback, we talk to them, we seek their advice on stuff. And so we engage with them that way. Whether we have forums in the future, I think, is really about, is that the right focus for us? Is it something we need? And if so, then staffing that appropriately. And right now, that's probably not one of the things that we're going to focus on.
Okay. And I guess another thing was with the titles that Onlive were able to get. Some people love the fact that there were like old school PC titles that you could go in there and you could play on a big screen, and that was fantastic. But then there were the other people who were saying, oh, why haven't you got the Call of Duties, the Battlefields of this world? Obviously, I remember speaking last year that it's not as easy as to just say, oh, you know, Treyarch, can we have your game on our system, and then sell it to the masses. So are Onlive taking steps to bring, I guess, newer, bigger games to Onlive players?
Yeah, and I mean, we launched Sleeping Dogs a couple of nights ago, so we're still bringing new content. We have a title pipeline. We're reaching out to all of the publishers that we've worked with. We're also reaching out to new publishers, continue to develop and build those relationships. We're also working to streamline how we bring games onto the platform. But I think another part of this is, one of the things we're looking at right now is making sure we have a focus on who our customer is. We launched this platform, we did put a lot of broad content on it. We've hit what would be classed, I guess, more as a hardcore audience because it's an early adopter and they want to see if the technology is working. We have to now make sure that going forward, what is the right audience? If it's someone sitting in the living room who hasn't even bothered to buy a game console, then they're probably not that worried about the Call of Duties, the Modern Warfares, all of those types of titles. They're sat there thinking, I just want to play a video game and I just want something engaged, in the same way that they just bring up casual titles maybe on their smartphone. And so there's probably some distinct audiences there that we need to separate out a little bit and make sure that we focus and we build the appropriate offering for each of those. And maybe that means Onlive appears in slightly different ways in different places and it starts to evolve, and maybe we have partnerships with different people who bring content to their partners, their customers, the way they want it. And that's something that we as a platform are now better able to start to focus on.
So with regards to that content, is there a plan to bring not just gaming content to Onlive, maybe things like Netflix, as you mentioned before, bringing things like movies or films or TV programs to Onlive?
We have the capability to do that, and we could start to think about how that might work. But at the same time, one of the other thinkings right now is that we want to be one of the services alongside those other services. So rather than try and create Onlive the product that brings you everything, Onlive wants to be the gaming platform that's maybe alongside of some of these others. They've got their own big deals to chew off and they've got a lot of work to do, and whether it's music or whether it's video games, every one of those business deals is, I can tell you, hard work and takes a lot of negotiation. So building a team that then has to go and do a music or a TV deal is every bit as hard as having one that's just focused on video games. So while we could do it technically, it's probably not the right business decision right now.
Okay, and I guess finally, with news of next-gen consoles, I mean, being obviously in production at the moment, possibly for release at Christmas 2013, are Onlive in a good position to, obviously not maybe directly compete with them, but to keep up the technology? Because there's obviously rumours that they will integrate some sort of streaming service with the next-gen consoles. So how does Onlive position itself alongside those?
Yeah, I think Charlie made this comment a couple of times yesterday, but as any startup has to do, you have to keep innovating. We created this great technology, and it's not just about the streaming. The entire platform is technology. How do you save a game and allow someone to carry on playing from the other side of the world? How do you spectate somebody else playing a game? All of those are very complex problems to solve. And it's incumbent upon us now to keep evolving the technology, keep evolving the business model, bringing online new servers and higher, more powerful hardware, all of which we will do and continue to do. So we'll continue to innovate, we'll continue to develop the space. We're confident that regardless of the state of the consoles next year and what comes out and what we see, and I think everyone's going to be excited by the console cycle, there's a place for cloud gaming now across many different products. And I think it comes back to not everyone's going to want a console. And there's a large audience out there of people that we can attract that aren't going to be queuing up to buy one. And that's really where the reach is, and that's where cloud gaming is going to make the big shift.